Hi, everybody. It's Dan Cirucci, and we are live. I'm waiting for Christine Flowers to join me for this post debate chat. The presidential debate is over. I'm right here. I've just finished watching it, like all of you. I've taken copious notes, although I'm not sure really needed to do that because I think the basic tenor and the feeling that is going to come out of this, that's going to come out of this debate, was set uh, very, very early on, very, very early on. And I don't think that anything in the course of the evening changed that. Here's Christine. Adding her. Christine, there you are.
Hi,
How are you?
Danny. I said on Facebook, I said I went to a debate and a showing of grumpy old men broke out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I that was one of the things that I had um, wondered about in a commentary I wrote this morning. I said, "Are we going to get two grumpy old men? Is that what it's going to become?" And I think that certainly was a factor tonight. Let me just make sure that we are on Facebook and we're on Twitter,
There we
and this is also on my YouTube channel.
go.
And let's see, I'm going to try this again. So far, I don't see us. Here we are. We're on Facebook. We are on Facebook. And then, I'm also getting some people are already like sending me text messages.
I
Or,
heard the ding.
yeah, some people are already sending me text messages. Let me just check my Twitter. Let's see. And here we are on Twitter. So we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. This is also on my YouTube channel. Now, this is what I said so far, Christine.
Yes.
I said that I think the impression that people are going to come away with from this debate and the tenor and I think the whole thing was set in the first few minutes, in the first
Easily.
15
In
minutes.
the first 10 seconds, when
Okay.
Biden responded to the first question and looked as if he had no idea where he was.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that maybe people were expecting a jacked up Biden, or that they were expecting after a week of being sequestered, uh, that Biden would be, sort of like he was at the State of the Union. But let's remember, Christine, that at the State of the Union, he was reading from a teleprompter. Okay,
Exactly. And he was
tonight
feeding
wasn't
off of the
a
energy of the
teleprompter.
crowd, too.
What was
It
your
was a very
first?
friend.
Yeah, what was your first impression of him?
That he was lost, that he was feeble, that he was elderly, and I've made some cracks about his age in the past, but I've also tried to moderate a little bit because I think, number one, it's disrespectful. Number two, it's not necessarily. I think that he's been shown in the worst light on certain television programs. So I don't think he is as bad as his worst moments would make him out to be. But tonight, it is impossible to avoid the truth of the situation. He is an old man. He is a feeble old man. He is mentally compromised. He, you know, I got very angry when he made the statement, "No troops have died on my watch," or something to that effect.
Mhm.
My first thought were the 13 troops in Afghanistan who died because of his incompetent withdrawal. And then I thought, you know what? I'm not even sure if he's lying. I don't think he remembers what he did in Afghanistan. And that's scarier, Dan. I truly believe that we saw an authentic Joe Biden tonight. We also saw an authentic Trump. Trump was Trump. Trump was
Right.
a little dialed back. He was, except in like there were a couple of moments when he was a little frisky and
Yeah.
feisty.
Yeah.
But he was much more subdued.
Hmm.
Biden Biden clearly lost this debate. Trump may not have won the debate. You know, I know a lot of his very strong supporters will say that he won. I'm not so sure about that, but he had no competition. Biden
Yeah.
was devastatingly bad.
I'm getting messages from somebody who's been following NBC News, and they're saying already the Democrats are concerned that Biden looked shaky, that he looked old, that he looked frail. Um, and here's what I wrote. These are my notes. I took copious notes, as you can see, pages and pages of them. I don't know that I really had to, because in the first few minutes, I'm feeling like about 3 or 4 minutes in, I wrote, Biden looks frail and pale. Voice is not strong, talking very rapidly and yet not clearly.
Right.
And gray, a sort of gray look to his face, a sort of, I don't know what the term is, shallow look
Yeah.
to his face.
Yeah.
Whereas Trump tonight did not look orange. He
No,
looked
he did not.
he did not
He
look
looked
orange.
good.
So he it didn't look like a fake tan. It just looked natural, and he looked robust. He looked
He
robust.
he really did. I looked at him and I said, "This is not a 78-year-old man. He
Uh-huh.
does not look. He doesn't look his age. First of all, he also looks like he's lost some weight.
Right.
Um, I I I don't know. Really, Biden. I wasn't expecting Biden to look as bad as he did when he walked onto the stage. I thought, whoa. I really thought that he would have. I don't know. I don't know what they were planning to do, but he was the worst version of himself. And
Yeah.
it was the one thing I'm glad about, though, is it really did not devolve into personal attacks. There were some, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. I think what
Yeah.
happened was Trump realized he really didn't have to go in that direction, that Biden was going to undo himself, that he was his worst debate opponent. So he kind of, I think, dialed it back a little bit.
I think that the muting of the microphones actually helped Trump
Yeah,
because it added structure to the debate.
yeah,
And in the first debate in 2020, Trump lost it because he kept interrupting Biden. Had he allowed Biden to continue to speak, Biden would have stumbled as he did tonight,
yeah.
and it would have become evident. So now Trump had to allow Biden to continue to speak because Trump's microphone was off. And so Biden did continue to speak. And at times, to me, it seemed, Christine, that he was like gasping for breath,
Yeah.
like he couldn't catch his breath. Now, right from the start, when he walked on, I felt that his gait was not firm. It was a shaky gait.
Right.
Okay. Right from when he walked on. And I also thought that the views of Biden that they showed from the back, when you saw his bald head and how he wears his hair long in the back, it's a very, very bad. It seems to me look for him. I don't know why he does that, but it was the head of an old man, and like your great, not your grandfather, your great grandfather. Okay.
And you know what's a problem? Um, we have a lot of images to contrast with the Joe Biden that we see before us now because
Yes,
he's been in front of us for
yes,
so many years. I was
yeah,
watching a Frontline episode about the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh, and it started out with the Bork nomination, and then it went into the Clarence Thomas. And Biden was involved in all of those. And obviously, he was a much younger man, maybe 30 years ago. But you look at it, and then you look at when he was vice president just 10 years ago, he is completely different. He is not the same. He's not in the same universe that he was in before.
Yeah.
This is a feeble old man.
And then when Trump said, I took cognitive tests. I took 2 cognitive tests. I passed them. I didn't get anything wrong. They were perfect. And Biden was sort of sneering, but Biden never said that he took a cognitive test or that he would take a cognitive test. I thought that was an opportunity for Biden to say, hey, look, pal, I took a cognitive test, and maybe reveal it, or say, I'll take the cognitive test tomorrow. Tell me when you want me to take it. But he didn't. He
Well,
just
one of the reasons that Biden is not prosecuted right now for the documents, the issue that we were talking about in one of our last conversations, is because the special prosecutor found that he was not competent to stand trial. Remember? So
yes,
there
yes.
is an issue of his mens rea. Why? Why? If he's not competent to stand trial, why in the world would we want the man in the White House? I mean, it is
And
just, I can't wrap my mind around this.
And Trump never brought that up. He never brought that up. I never brought up, why don't we have the actual transcript, Joe, that from your when you were interviewed, and they said that you were old and forgetful. Why won't you release the actual
Yeah.
transcript from that?
Yeah.
Why are you using, you're using presidential immunity or whatever it's called?
Right.
Um,
That's
I
why I don't think Trump won this debate. I don't think he was, I mean, he was good because he wasn't Biden and he wasn't his usual self. He was un-Trump like tonight, which I think was good for him. But I think he missed a number of opportunities, especially the one that you just mentioned. He
yes.
could have gone for the jugular and he didn't. And I think that that's probably because his handlers were very, very, on him to not go off the reservation and make any kind of mistakes. They wanted him
Right.
to appear statesmanlike. But one of the things about Trump, one of his, charming aspects is the fact that he is authentic, shoots from the hip, off the cuff. And I think that that would have been a really legitimate criticism to make because
Yeah.
Biden was so clearly not on his game tonight.
But you're saying that, well, while Trump may not have won the debate, Biden clearly lost the debate.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I went into
Maybe
this
that's all that
tonight.
Trump needed. Maybe that's all that Trump needed.
I think it is. I absolutely think it is because I think, in the run up to this, CNN was patting itself on the back like this is so historic. And we're going to, as I said on my Facebook page, I said CNN is planning to create the wheel and discover fire on Thursday night. I mean, this amazing thing that's going to be happening. And it was a bust as far as the network is concerned, I think, because neither Jake Tapper nor Dana were able to get what I think they very clearly wanted, which was a good performance out of President Biden. They were not able to do that. You could even tell in their demeanor and their reaction how disappointed they were.
I think policy-wise, if you want to say on the issues and the facts, we're going to put that in quote facts. That was pretty much a wash. I mean, I don't think anybody scored any significant policy points or any major. Nobody made some big startling announcement or made a big revelation or nailed somebody else on policy. I felt that Biden a couple of times showed the effect of being in Washington for so long
Yeah.
when he would get bogged down on trying to explain policy and and programs and proposals, and he was basically mumbling, and it just came out like as a word salad.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas Trump, I noticed, and I wrote this down, no matter what question Trump was asked, he went back to the points that he wanted to make tonight. Most notably was the border, which
Yes.
he really, really brought home. Now he must have some polls, or his advisors told him, don't keep going back to the border issue, because he really stressed that tonight.
He
Uh,
did. He did. And you knew that he would, though, because that's been the narrative thread for the Republicans for, I mean, that is the issue. They
that's the
will
issue
come
that
back.
propelled him to the presidency in the first place.
I'm, I'm sorry, what?
That is the issue that propelled him to the presidency in the first place.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And he knows it. He knows it. Um, to be quite honest, as an immigration attorney, I think he did a pretty bad job with the border. And as an as an immigration attorney, with him working under him for 4 years as president, I think he was incredibly ineffective. So I am not a huge cheerleader for Donald Trump on immigration on either end of the issue. He did not help with the benefits end of it to sort of try and unclog the backlog that we have for people who are here trying to get their green cards the right way. And at the same time, his policy at the border, I know that there are people who say Stephen Miller was great and there were a lot of deportations. Actually, there were more deportations under Barack Obama. But be that as it may, I think absolutely the messaging from the Trump campaign, the Trump camp, is their focus. I mean, they want to keep coming back to the issue of violence at the border. They want to keep, the fact that there are young women who have been killed by illegal immigrants and all of this. And I think that will work for him, absolutely, because Biden has fallen apart. He's done what he did recently with the executive order on asylum is just, to me, horrible, because asylum is sort of the holy grail. It's sacred. And what Biden essentially has done has, closed the border to refugees and asylum seekers. I agree with what he did, the recent executive order to allow spouses of U.S. citizens to try and adjust their status in the United States. But all of these little things that he's doing are not sufficient enough to rally his own base, because his own base, they want an open border. I mean, no matter what he does, they want an open border. Progressives, the people that he's really trying to reel in, and he's losing them because of Gaza as well.
And I don't think that Biden or the moderators really um, landed any punches on Trump on abortion.
They didn't. I was very disappointed, but I knew he would do this because they're playing politics again. I was very disappointed in Trump's comments about the abortion pill, that he supports the abortion pill, and that to me, Dan, that's enough to have me stay home and not vote for anybody, because the abortion pill, if you have the abortion pill, it's game over. We don't have to worry about surgical abortions any longer. If women can get an abortion pill to kill their babies, it's game over. So thumbs really down on Trump on the abortion issue. I was very, very upset about that.
But you understood why he said that.
Well, listen, it's cowardly, but it's politics.
And the Supreme Court has ruled on it.
But he didn't have to say he supported it. He didn't have to say he embraced it. Okay, that's my problem.
He could have simply said, "Well, the Supreme Court has ruled on that,"
but he didn't say. Okay.
Yeah. No, no, you're right. He could have simply said, "Well, look,
Could
Dana,
have said it's out of my hands. He couldn't have made it seem like, oh, I agree with them. It's a great thing.
yeah,
It was, to me, it was morally abhorrent. But I know why he did it, and I know why Republicans do it, because they're afraid of the suburban white female, the
right,
soccer mom who wants
right,
her, she wants her abortion. She wants to be able to have those abortions. So God forbid we should upset the ladies who want their abortions. And so that's why I don't consider myself a huge GOP groupie, because I feel that they exceed far too much to the pro-choice movement or to the abortion rights
mhm.
movement.
But you have to give Trump credit for his Supreme Court nominees and the people that he put on the
Absolutely.
court,
We
and
got Dobbs. We
also,
got
and
Dobbs. And
also, yeah, and also, let me say, we have to give credit. A lot of people don't like me saying this, to Mitch McConnell, who prevented Merrick Garland from going on the court. Otherwise,
exactly.
Merrick Garland would be on the court. And we've all seen who Merrick Garland is. He has definitely showed his cards because he's weaponized the justice system against Trump.
But can I ask, why would you get criticism about Mitch McConnell? Mitch McConnell
Because a
is
lot of
is a hero.
conservatives don't want to give Mitch McConnell credit for anything.
He's a hero. This
Yes,
court
but because
was
he
created by
criticized,
Mitch McConnell, not Donald Trump. Mitch
because he
McConnell brought us this
criticized,
court.
yes, but because he criticized Trump, after
Oh,
January 6th.
whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, grow up, people.
But,
Grow up.
let us also remember, Christine, that Trump put himself out there and he said, if I'm elected, here's the list of people that I will choose from for the Supreme Court. And he did choose from that list, Trump.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
And,
It was
he put,
compiled by the guys from the
we
Federalist Society.
we had so many Republican presidents who put people on the court who said they were conservative, and once they got on the court, they fizzled.
Harry Blackmun, David Souter, Sandra Day O'Connor, all of them.
One
They
after
were,
another, one after another. Okay,
yep, yep, yep.
so this is all to the credit of Trump.
Yeah, because he listened to people who knew what they were doing. And I give him a lot of credit, because I will tell you that for someone with that kind of ego to be able to have the humility to trust, excuse me, the expert opinion of those who know more about it than he does,
Yeah.
that says a lot about that person and his ability to govern. So I give Trump a lot of credit for the Supreme Court. The Dobbs decision, I am very grateful to
Yeah,
President Trump for that.
and,
I'm
and
just saying, tonight I
yeah,
wasn't happy at all with his
yeah.
comments, because I'm not happy with the way that the Republicans are just like, they're squeamish and they're sitting back and they don't want to make, you know,
Well, as a someone who's active in the Republican Party and has been for quite a while, I can tell you that's sort of in the Republican DNA. I don't know what you do about that because we have a lot in our party of what we call country club Republicans, okay?
yeah.
And they don't like to take strong stands. They like to grit their teeth, clutch their pearls, and have another martini.
Say that's
That's
not
how they
me.
deal with it. That's how they deal with it.
That's not me, and that's not you either.
I know.
I mean, because you know what? You've got the DNA of a Democrat in you, an old line, fighting,
I
feisty
do.
Democrat,
I
as
was
do
a
I.
Democrat.
That's why I never considered myself a Republican, because of that whole kind of, oh, let's get along. Let's not upset the people. Have another cup of tea. Um,
But
but because of the crazy
yeah,
radical Democrats now, what other choice do we have but to go with people who are somewhat more reasonable on social issues, at least?
let me ask you this, Christine. What what's your assessment of the performance of the moderators tonight?
I think, well, first of all, I kind of think they were innocuous. They weren't as bad as Candy Crowley, for example.
Oh
Remember
my
her
God. Right.
with the
Of course.
Obama Romney
Oh
debate?
God.
She
Terrible.
was horrible. The other
About
one
Chris
was
Wallace. Chris Wallace.
oh, Chris
Chris
Wallace.
Wallace.
What an
Dreadful.
embarrassment to his legendary father. Um, yeah, and I think there was Kristen Welker, the no wait, she was
Right.
she a debate moderator? I think so. Either way, I
Yeah.
don't think I don't think they made any real mistakes or flubs. I think that they were kind of again innocuous. They did not.
So yeah. So if they were innocuous, then they were doing their job, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they're not supposed to take the spotlight. That's not the role of a moderator. They're
I
not
agree.
supposed to be provocative.
I
Okay.
agree. I was shocked at Jake Tapper. I mean, Jake Tapper is a little bit of a snake, and when he interviews people that he does not like, he can be extremely
Yeah.
unfair and inappropriate. I do not like Philly boy Jake Tapper. Dana Bash, I think. I mean, she has her little quirks, but I have to say I respect her a great deal. I think she is a professional. Um, Both of them tonight behave themselves, and I think they just let the candidates be the focal point, and they didn't interrupt. And I think time management was very good as well. I think you're right. That mic thing is the best invention of all time. Just cut them off when they're not on
No,
stage.
yes, and I thought the time management was excellent. I thought the moderators were toned down. I
Yes,
thought another nice thing that they did, and it was more civilized, was like they would say, uh, President Biden, you still have 46 seconds left. Is there anything else you would like to say? And they said, President Trump, you still have 38 seconds left. I I thought that was very civilized.
I do too. And I'll tell you what, they did not play favorites. I really thought that this was going to be one of those. I really thought it was going to be like a panel discussion on CNN every night that you have with Abby
Yeah,
Phillips or you have with
yeah.
Laura Coates and those guys or Anderson Cooper or whoever. And it wasn't. They had adults in the room. I think they picked the right moderators for this debate. And guess what? Even though it wasn't as exciting, I liked the fact that there was no audience. I liked the fact that it wasn't like, bread and circuses for the crowds. It
Right.
was it was it was more of a serious, even though I said it was still grumpy old men. And I mean, seriously, they're criticizing each other about their golf game. I
Well,
mean, come
that
on.
was
What was that about? But
that
overall, I
came
think it
that
was a
came
mature debate.
that came towards the end of the debate,
Yeah, exactly.
and
I know. It was a
I
little
thought it
weird.
was funny, and I thought everybody's going to be talking about that.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
and it was a guy thing. It was a guy thing. I think a lot of women are going to say, "Oh my God, when are we going to get rid of these guys?" It's like talking about,
They were swinging it around,
yeah,
Jenny.
right.
They
I don't want
were
to say
saying
what it was like talking about how we know what I mean. How big a
ah,
certain body part is. Uh,
exactly. I said
but,
swinging it
but
around.
the
But
other thing is, I don't think that anybody who was watching could really believe that Biden could go out and play 18 holes of golf and hit a golf ball hard enough and far enough from the tee. And I don't know the first thing about golf. I don't play golf, but I just can't see Biden going 18 holes. Can you?
no, I mean I don't think he'd be able to find the holes. I mean, he just doesn't give that impression. He also doesn't give the impression that golf is his game. I mean, golf, I don't know. I know nothing about it. I'm not interested in it. I once dated a
Right.
guy who had a subscription to the Golf Channel and he would watch it on Saturdays and he loved it. And I'm like, gag me. This is so boring. I have no interest in golf whatsoever. I know that there are women who love golf. I can't stand it. But it just, I mean, I guess it's a metaphor for whatever. It just seems to me more of an elitist kind of sport than
Well, it's not cheap.
baseball or football or
No, it's not
hockey.
cheap. I mean, by the time you buy your golf clubs and then uh, he made some kind of comment, I think Biden, about walking the course as opposed to riding a golf cart or something. I can't even see him walking one hole, let alone walking an entire course. I
What
mean,
what about the comment uh, that Trump made about said I have no idea what he said there, and I don't think he understands it either. That comment where he kind of like faded out at the end, and Trump basically said, "I don't know what he meant, and I don't think he
oh,
does either."
oh yeah. Well, I wrote down several times here. Biden voice is weak and he's stumbling. This was 12 minutes in. I noted that at one point Biden seemed to freeze a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and then I thought it was interesting that when they tried to bring up Trump's the fact that he's a convicted felon, he said that what this man has done is criminal, pointing to Biden, and then threw in the zinger. His son is a convicted felon. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think either of those comments from Biden about Trump being a convicted felon or Trump about Hunter being a convicted felon, I don't think that I mean, they kind of glossed over them fairly quickly. I think I was expecting that to be much more of an issue tonight, just as I was expecting abortion to be much more of an issue tonight. And in neither case was that really the focal point. They really did spend a lot of time on the economy, which I'm glad. They did talk
Mhm.
about COVID. They did talk about, and I'm glad Trump defended himself on the way he handled COVID. I think that there has been a rewriting of history by so many on the left saying that
Mhm.
Biden came in and saved us. Had it not been for Operation Warp Speed, we would have been dead. Had there not been those vaccines,
Mhm.
and I know that there are a lot of conservatives who are like, oh, the vaccines, they're causing death and this and that. In some cases, perhaps, but I think we would have been in a much worse situation had Trump not taken the steps that he took. And I know a lot of people were angry about the mandates and the forced closures, but it's very easy for us to look back on that now and say, this was horrible, this was horrible. This was an unprecedented plague that fell into our laps in March of 2020. And I don't think that Trump gets the credit that he deserves for what he did.
And I thought Trump was very effective when he said, and it's true, many more people died from COVID while Biden was in office, while he was in office, than while I was in office. Okay.
Yeah, very
And,
true.
and he did make that point, and a lot of people would find that hard to believe. But if you go back and look at the numbers, it's true.
It is
Okay.
true. It is true. And they could have done simultaneous fact checking, but that is absolutely true. That in terms
Mhm.
of numbers, excuse me, in terms of numbers, far fewer people died on Trump's watch than on Biden's watch. And so I find it particularly galling that there are people out there who are saying that Biden is the one that basically saved us and put us back on track. He derailed our economy with all of those, all of the
Yeah.
investments and what is it, the injection of money into the economy. The what did they call them? I can't remember it now. The checks that we got, the $1,100 or $1,200 checks that we got. What are they
Oh,
called?
yeah. I can't remember it
I
either.
can't remember what they were called.
I was like, I got this check, and not that I was unhappy to receive it, but I'm like, oh, I didn't know that I was getting a check. For what? But
It, yeah,
we
there
all got.
wasn't a lot of
But here's something that I
bookkeeping.
think where Trump missed something that could have been very effective. And that was that whenever Biden, no matter what you ask him, he always comes back with a proposal for a government program. I mean, this is his whole life. This
Right.
is all he's ever done is propose government programs, bigger and bigger government programs, and bigger government spending, more and more tax and spend programs. And I think that Trump didn't say this until the very end in his closing statement, but he should have made more of this. He should have said, "This guy has had 3.5 years to do what he said he was going to do, and he hasn't done any of it. Things just got worse. Why
The
would you
border
give
is
him another
worse.
four
The
years?
border,
Why
yeah,
would you give him another 4 years?"
it's
And
exactly right.
this is,
The border
yeah,
is the most glaring example, but the
yeah,
economy also. It's
yeah,
funny, Dan. I've got CNN on in front of me. I'm not watching it,
right,
but I glanced up, and the the it's a constant. It's saying things like Democratic Party official on Biden's performance, nothing good. Democrats in panic mode now because of Joe Biden's performance.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's pretty bad. It's pretty
yeah,
bad. He did a
yeah.
really bad job tonight.
We have a rule in public relations, Christine, and this is also a big rule in show business, and of course, our business of public relations is not unrelated to show business. I mean, a lot of PR professionals who are, you know, certified experts, they get a little upset when I say this, but but there's a lot of showbiz in public relations, and so we have this rule that comes from showbiz, and the rule is this: you can continue to perform if you can keep two things: your posture and your voice. If you can continue to keep your posture and your voice, you can maintain the illusion as you age. The great entertainer Josephine Baker
Yes.
uh, used to say to her audience, "Don't come too close, darlings. You'll destroy the illusion."
That's right. That's
Now,
right.
Joe
That
Biden tonight did not have the voice, and he did not have the bearing, the posture.
no.
And once you lose that, his voice was weak and it seemed scratchy at times. Uh, it was the voice of an old man.
It very much was. They said that he had a cold. They were trying to sort of excuse his demeanor, but it wasn't just a cold. It wasn't, it wasn't that sniffly nasal sound. He was halting. He looked, his eyes looked glazed over. I, I just didn't there. I didn't see any significant cognition. And he drifted off when he was talking. And I felt bad, Dan. I actually felt embarrassed for him. And in some ways, I wanted to look away because, listen, I'm not voting for the guy. I can't stand him. I hate everything he stands for. And yet, at a human level, I feel truly bad for him because he's an elderly man and I believe that he's being used by people, including his wife, who I cannot stand. I think that he's a placeholder, but the Democrats, they're they're cruel. They're being very cruel in not basically saying to him, resign, step down, not overriding his desire to run for a second term. He's going to be 84 when he leaves office if he wins again. He's not going to make it through 1 year in his second term, let alone 4. And the man should be allowed to retire and enjoy his now 7. Yeah. Does he acknowledge that he has 7 grandkids? Is he acknowledging little Navy Hunter's illegitimate child? Yeah. He should be able to enjoy his grandchildren and just not destroy the country for the rest of us.
And here's the other thing that I noted. When they asked him about his age, he answered by reminding people of how long he's been around. He said, there was a time I was the youngest person in Congress. I was the youngest senator. Well, by saying that, he reminded us that that was a long, long time ago, and that he has been on the government payroll, that he's been at the public trial for a long, 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 long time. And
He's
why?
never had a
Why?
private sector
Why is
job.
he still there? Why?
He's like Strom Thurmond. They're going to have to start propping him up in a chair. It's really, it's distressing. And well, I mean, from his perspective, it's ego and hubris. And I mean, I guess he thinks, well, what else can I do? This is all
Uh-huh.
I did. And it's almost like Prince Charles, who had to wait 70 some years before he was king. And now he's sick and elderly and ailing, and he's king, but he's going to hold on with his finger,
Yeah.
nails. But it's already well past his prime. Same thing with Joe Biden. He always wanted to be president, and he tried like 3 or 4 times before this. And by the time he actually won, he was way too old for this. But he's there, so he doesn't want to leave. And he's got a lot of sycophants out there as well who use him, again, as a placeholder, partly because they despise Donald Trump and they despise his supporters and they despise conservatives and Republicans.
And then Trump came back and he said, look, I've been in the political business, if you will, for what, like, he had to think for a second, 8 years now, he said. He's 8 years versus 50 years, okay? And he said, I wasn't going to run this time. I didn't want to run this time. I didn't have to do it. I don't have to do this. This was a very, very important point that he made. In other words, he was saying, I was a successful person already. I was a successful businessman. I was famous. I was a successful television personality. I was a success at almost everything I did. I didn't have to do this. And I decided to do this time because I felt that he was making such a mess. I thought when he came back and said that, and that was also towards the end, that's something that he left with people. I thought that part was very effective as well. So yeah, I ask you now, Christine, because we've been going for roughly 43 minutes, 45 minutes almost. We're going to
and neither of us have faded away like Joe Biden. We're both really sharp.
And I'm a lot closer to Joe Biden's age than you are.
You are not. You're not
Yes,
that much older than I am, really.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. But I ask you, if you had to give a rate them between 1 to 10, 1 to 10, Biden and Trump.
Trump, a solid 7.
Okay.
Biden, -3. I mean, he's not even on the grid. He didn't give one coherent, cogent answer to anything. And I mean, even if we were able to get beyond his execrable performance, his delivery, he lied. I mean, I'm sorry to say again that no troops died on his watch, and 13 needless deaths of those American soldiers and Marines who died because of that horrific withdrawal from Afghanistan, because he wanted to be able to get it done before September 11th and that anniversary. For him to have forgotten about that or to have deliberately glossed over it and hoped that we would not have remembered is just another sign that he is incompetent and we he's unworthy. I think that's it. He's unworthy to be
Un-
our president.
Unworthy of the office.
Right.
Yeah, unworthy of the office. If
Right.
I were to rate him, I would agree with you to give Trump a 7, and I would give Biden probably a positive 3, just out of the generosity of my heart.
Because he was breathing.
And now, what would your numbers would you give the two moderators?
Following what you had said, that a moderator should actually be innocuous and should not be the focus of the show.
Right?
I think that they did pretty well. I think I would give them each an 8 because they didn't. Although we both know that they were anti-Trump
Oh
because
yeah,
we've seen them,
yeah,
I think they did not bring that to their performance tonight.
correct.
So as a reward for their ability to swallow their Trump hatred, and they didn't help. They really weren't trying to help Biden. I think that they deserve 8s, both of
Yeah,
them.
I would agree with you. I would give them an 8. Um, I would agree with that. I want to check one more thing here. Oh, this I'm looking now at the Drudge Report, and Christine, the Drudge Report is now very, very left. It's a left.
Yeah. What
It's a left
happened to
group.
him?
Oh, I don't know what happened to him, but here's the headline: Operation Replace Biden. Dems scramble with 130 days to go. Debate catastrophe.
Good.
That's from the Trump report. So we would, Dan and Christine, folks, Dan and Christine have actually been very nice tonight. We haven't, we haven't, we, we've actually been, I think, very generous. We're not dancing on anybody's grave or anything like that here.
No, I feel this is such a devastating debacle for Biden. I
Yes.
feel bad. I
Yeah.
don't. It's almost like I don't want to gloat, and I'm a gloaty kind of person. You know me very well. We've known each other a long time, and I'm a sarcastic little rhymes with witch. Um, but even I can't find it within me to go after. I remember a very similar debate um, with John Fetterman when John Fetterman was up against Oz. Remember for the senatorial debate. And
Right.
this is my one caveat. I remember after that debate with Fetterman saying, "Oh my God, there's absolutely no way he shot himself in his foot. He destroyed his campaign, and he won." And I actually, my opinion of John Fetterman has risen because of his support for Israel, because of his stance about immigration and at the border and what have you. But my caveat is we're all talking about how bad this debate was now. That may have no impact whatsoever on the actual outcome of the election. Although I will say it was so bad that the Democrats are now seriously looking for the Ann Baxter character in All About Eve to replace Betty Davis. They're looking for Ann Baxter
Famous,
because
famous.
Betty Davis really didn't show up well tonight.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Right, exactly. Poor
Um,
Betty.
so that's going to be a bumpy ride for fasten your seatbelts, Democrats. There's a bumpy ride ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even want to get into who might replace Biden or any of that now. We'll wait and see what the next 24 hours holds. I think you're absolutely right that it may make no difference on the outcome of the election. We certainly been down this road with Fetterman, but don't forget, Fetterman had an excuse. He had a stroke.
That's
Okay,
right. That's
he
right.
had a stroke. This is
And
a
you can
different.
recover from a stroke. You can't recover from being 80.
No, I do think that there's definitely been cognitive decline here, and it's going to be it's very very hard for people to deny it, but it is what it is, and I
Yeah.
think we just have to wait and see now.
It's
Christine,
yes, darling.
it's been great.
I'm so glad we did this. We have to do it more often in the run up to like when he picks his VP. We'll have to do one and try and do this a little more
We're,
regularly.
we're going to do it, and I'm telling everybody that's watching. Look like we have over 100 people just on this little thing I'm looking at now. Um,
All
Yeah, I'm
right.
telling everybody that's watching, we will be back. We'll be back again. You know, they say, I'll be back. I don't know if I
I'll
said
be
that
back.
right. How do you say that, Christine? It's another great movie line.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold, I'll be back.
There you go. We will be back.
All
Love
right.
you.
I love you so much. Mwah. Give my love to your gorgeous wife, and we'll be back.
We will. Okay. Bye.
Bye bye. Take care.